In 1968, a high school kid working a summer job at minimum wage could look at a brand new V8 Mustang and actually think, I can afford that. Back then, $1.60 an hour meant that about 1,800 hours of work bought you the American dream. Fast forward to today, at the federal minimum wage, that same car costs over 6,000 hours. That's 3 years of your life without buying a single burger or paying a cent in rent. Nowadays it looks like companies got rid of entry-level vehicles. Ford cancelled Fusion, Chevrolet cancelled Cruze, and Honda cancelled Fit. So why don't we have entry-level vehicles anymore? This isn't just about Mustangs. Since 1968, the average new car price has outpaced inflation by nearly $20,000. While your wage stagnated, the entry-level car was removed from the market. Today, a staggering 1 in 5 new car buyers are trapped in a monthly payment of over $1,000, a debt load that would have been a mortgage 20 years ago. We have hit a breaking point. For the first time in history, the average American can no longer afford the average American car. Here is the math of how we got here and if we can climb out of it. But to really understand the topic, we have to divide it in a few chapters. Wages versus entry-level cars, the collapse of American manufacturing, regulation loopholes, and the death of cheap cars. In 1968, the American middle class was living through a golden age of purchasing power. The median household income was around $7,700. At the same time, a brand new, well-equipped Mustang GT had an MSRP of roughly $3,000. If you do the math, that car cost around 39% of a family's annual pre-tax income. Crucially, in 1968, that household income was overwhelmingly generated by a single breadwinner. A factory worker or a mid-level clerk could buy a brand new vehicle. Fast forward to 2026 and the median looks a lot different. The median household income has risen to roughly $83,000, which sounds like a massive jump until you look at the sticker price of a modern equivalent. A 2026 Mustang GT, after destination fees, sits at roughly $48,000. That car now consumes more than half of the median household income. We have seen a nearly 20 percentage point swing in the cost of ownership. But the real pain is in the labor. That median household income today is rarely a single paycheck. It is a combined effort of 2 working adults. When you look at the entry-level market, the situation is even more dire. In 1968, the cheap cars, the Chevy Novas or Ford Falcons, cost about 25% of median income. The main issue is how cars are disappearing from the market. In this day and age, people are running out of options. A lot of entry cars have simply either moved up the upper segment or they have completely disappeared from the market. For example, early Land Cruisers were cheap and reliable work trucks. However, now they have moved to luxury class and thus their price tag got more expensive. To understand why a car costs $50,000 today, you have to look at what happened when the smoke stopped rising from the American steel mills. In the 1960s, US automakers were industrial giants. They controlled most of the production process. For example, Ford's Rouge River plant had everything from steel mills to glass plant. The plant was responsible for producing almost everything for the vehicles, including producing enough power, steel, rubber, and even paper as needed for the cars. Ford also owned railroad that was used as a transportation for materials. This isn't the case anymore. Nowadays, Ford's vertical integration is at less than half of what it used to be in the 1960s. Moreover, American automakers had a lot of extra resources. Their steel mills and rubber plants were sitting on months' worth of stock. The world events had less of an effect on the industrial giants compared to now. The United States shifted towards the service economy. A lot of American companies started investing in China and other countries when it came to industrial output. This had a double-edged effect on consumers. On one side, it created industries that were lucrative for people. For example, if you had a college degree in computer science, it essentially guaranteed you a high-paying job in the new sector. But at the same time, the middle class started disappearing. A lot of people simply lost their livelihood and they had to essentially either retrain themselves for another sector or try to find jobs in sectors that were disappearing day by day. Modern cars are not assembled in one country anymore, and that's understandable. But it seems like the big three, General Motors, Chevrolet and Chrysler, has outsourced almost all of the production elsewhere. Nowadays only about 30 to 40% of car parts are assembled in-house. Compared to that, Chinese automaker BYD has 75% of vertical integration. They control and manufacture almost everything, including battery production, chips, motors and even the transportation ships. Huge vertical integration is one of the main reasons of why Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, had sounded alarm bells about the Chinese competitors. You might ask, shouldn't lean production make cars cheaper? On paper, yes. By adopting just-in-time manufacturing, companies eliminated the waste of keeping months of steel in warehouses. This saved billions in corporate capital, but it created a zero margin for error system for the customer. In 1968, if a supplier went down, Ford had a buffer. In 2026, if a chip factory closes for a week, the entire global supply chain collapses. Cars get delayed and the dealerships started implementing market adjustments to increase prices. But there is also another reason why cars got so expensive, which brings us to chapter 3. If you were wondering why almost every new car is a crossover or a truck, you can thank corporate average fuel economy standards for that. A core component of these regulations is the footprint space standard, which sets a specific MPG requirements based on the vehicle size. Small cars are actually held to much stricter standards. While a truck might be allowed to average 20 miles per gallon, a small car like a Ford Focus or Fusion is forced to be twice or even 3 times as efficient. To achieve such high fuel mileage, engineers must implement complex turbo systems or expensive hybrid technology and batteries. This complicates the engineering process significantly. A car that might have cost $20,000 now suddenly jumps to $30,000 just to meet these requirements. Manufacturers eventually realized that chasing these ever-increasing standards for small cars was a losing battle. Instead, they decided to pivot completely towards crossovers and trucks. They applied luxury marketing to these larger vehicles to justify the higher price tags. In reality, many of these trucks outsell cars because their larger footprint allows them to bypass the stricter efficiency tests that requires expensive research and development and engineering. Another issue is the baseline technology now required for all the vehicles. For example, since 2018, all cars must be equipped with backup cameras. Additionally, to qualify for top safety ratings, many new cars require high-intensity headlights. In the past, headlights were cheap and easy to repair and replace. Today, modern headlight assemblies are far more advanced and significantly more expensive than their predecessors. The complexity of modern car crashes has also become a major financial burden. Many vehicle components are now highly complex, and they require expensive repairs. For instance, on an older car, replacing a side view mirror might cost a couple $100 at most. However, modern mirrors are mechanically complex, housing technologies like heating elements, integrated turn signals, and auto-dimming glass. This high tech bumps up the cost of parts and consequently insurance premiums, which plays a major role in why cars are so expensive today. Hey, thank you for watching my video. If you have liked the video, please subscribe so you will not miss out on our future uploads.